Hey there, welcome back to Bitter-Swede Garage and my film over. So today I'm beginning the process of stealing some more parts off of that Jeep out yonder. Already got the Ford pushed out, so I'm gonna drag that in here. Well, that works surprisingly well. The old Toro wheel horse. It's not a lawn tractor. It's a garden tractor. All right, so gonna need the master cylinder, brake booster, probably some of the mounts for the steering, because I think I can use the steering column, clutch pedal, brake pedal, and associated brackets, and I don't know, maybe even the throttle, because it's a pretty simple bracket with just a cable. So yeah, there's lots of good stuff on here. Let me know if you need some Jeep parts. You know, don't lowball me. I know what I got. Well, that came out pretty easy. It's cool because it actually bolts to a flat surface, so I think that'll work pretty good. And then I was looking at this Firewall reinforcement plate here, and it's already got all the holes cut out for, you know, your master cylinder, for your brakes, and for your clutch. It's got this steering hole, which probably won't be the right place, but I'm gonna have to reinforce that firewall anyway, so got a few more spot welds to cut, and then I'm gonna rip that off. Fortunately, I can see pretty easy where all the spot welds are. The ones along the edge, I was able to use my air chisel. So, got another one somewhere in here, but we'll get it. Ta-da! So, it's not gonna fit completely, but at least I know the relationship between the brake master cylinder and the clutch master cylinder. So, at least it's a nice template. You can't press the button. It'd be nice to use this bracket here. It holds the steering column, and I think it's just the steering column. So, I'll spend a bunch of time drilling all that out, and then cut it apart, and then not use it. So, okay. Well, they certainly didn't want this thing coming off on accident. All right, I got all the spot welds drilled. Helps when you find a drill bit that's sharp. Anyway, widen those up a little bit with the step bit, and hopefully I can get it off of there. Okay. Look at that. And I only bent it a little bit, so that should work. Or I'm just systematically taking this Jeep apart so I can just throw it away in a dumpster. So I just had an apostrophe, lightning, struck my brain. So I was taking this Jeep apart, and I was like, yeah, the seats are kind of junk, but you know, the back seat's kind of cool. I didn't think it folded down, but it does. And I was like, wait a second. So, sorry, side note here. You know, just like normal, that's what we do around here. Side projects, never finishing one. Sorry, I already put junk in here, but this is my 54 Chevy station wagon. It did not come with a third row seat. This folds up, that folds down. Move my fancy suitcases here, and look at that, Jeep seat. But yeah, it's not centered, but it's got plenty of space on the sides. Cup holder. It folds down. It also will pivot up, so I can get to my spare tire back there. It's like it was meant to be. Plenty of headroom, you can see out the back window. It's like, thank you, Jeep. Okay, back to work. Stop screwing around. Speaking of seats, I don't necessarily love these Jeep seats, and they're in pretty bad shape, but they're here and they're free. This is goofy, the top, and then, I mean, maybe they'd fit. I don't know. I don't like blocking the back window with some dumb looking headrest, and they're all one piece, of course. But, you know, something to sit on. If you haven't noticed, this is a budget friendly, as if there's such a thing. Basically, we're just cheap. All right, I got the Jeep out of the shop. I think I pulled off all the parts that I need and or want. I unbolted the seats. I'm not so sure I'm gonna use them, but yeah, so I got that. Threw all the carpet away, so, you know, it'll be nice when I take it to the scrapyard, I guess. So yeah, there's some of those parts and steering, stuff like that. I found that skid plate kind of under the back seat area, cargo area, and it's pretty heavy. I feel like I can use that for something. So now we just got to figure out where we want to put all that stuff. I'm gonna take some of this stuff off so I can kind of mock up my brake pedal assembly. I got the brake booster and clutch master cylinder mocked up, so fits pretty good in there, and I can reuse the Jeep brake lines and proportioning valve. So that's like that. Oh, my light is dead. Oh, you can kind of see it. So the pedals are shifted to the right side of the truck. So I might have to figure something like, maybe, I don't know. I've got a shop press, I could kind of straighten these out. My steering needs to basically split the difference. So the clutch pedal definitely needs to go over, and the brake pedal needs to come over a little bit too. But for now, it's bolted up, and I mean, I think it's in a good spot. I have no seat, so, you know, we're just kind of winging it. I decided I'm not going to use the Jeep steering column, mostly because I broke it, but also it looked kind of stupid without all the plastic covering stuff around it. Wasn't gonna work. So, got the old steering column. It's just kind of mocked up. But I also have this plate where pedals used to be, which is awesome because now I know how much to move them over. The clutch, not so much. The brake, a lot, because I definitely need space for a throttle pedal. So I'll convert that to, basically I cut the box off, and then you find a bearing that fits in the end of it. Anyway, you put a U-joint or a Borgeson joint on the bottom of it and connect to the rest of the steering. That's all I got for now. All right, it's Friday. I'm back. Got a little bit of a late start today because my friend Chance's Ford broke down. Typical. Now, it just had a melted battery cable, so happy to help him get that back on the road. And we're back in the shop on the 46 4x4. So got some pieces in the mail today. I tried to be strategery about when I order parts. So I try to order stuff on Monday so that it's here by Friday because I have to go to work. So, you know, make some money, pay the bills. So I got some steering parts I decided to go with the, you know, the original 46 column, but we need to adapt it. And this is how we're gonna do it. So, here we go. Well, I cannot get that steering wheel off of there. It's rusted tight. So, this is my Redneck lathe. So I tap the bottom of the shaft because it's hollow. Put this bolt in there. And then I'm just trying to polish this up a little bit. I'm actually 1/100th of an inch too big. And there's a lot of scale and stuff on this, so I'm just trying to polish it up so my bearing will fit. I got my drill here. Maybe you can see that. And I'm just trying to spin this. I've got some 80 grit. I'm just trying to clean that up a little bit. Whee! So, I mean, if it works, it'll be a great idea. But that is debatable. Getting closer. So this didn't fit on here at all before. Now, it almost press fit on there, but I want to be able to maybe get it off too. So, but yeah, it's working. It's getting all the pitting out of there. We're just honing in on the circumference or diameter. Yeah, that's it. Well, after some time and just a dash of ignorant fortitude, I have given up. No, I think it's gonna work. Look at that. The other thing I did before I got too far was I made sure the end was nice and square. So I kind of trimmed that up a little bit, and then I put 4 slits in it, equidistant. I put a clamp on here, and then I just cut up to the clamp so all these lines are the same length, because the tube is just slightly bigger than the bearing. So I put that on there, and then I'll probably re-clamp it. My fancy hose clamp. I'll re-clamp this and then spot weld around here so that it holds that shape. But I think it's gonna work. And then this locking collar here slides on there too. So that way it puts tension on the spring that's underneath the steering wheel. Kind of holds that top bearing in place. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I'm honestly surprised that that worked, but sometimes you just gotta try something weird. And I'm pretty weird, so sometimes it works. Somebody messed up the steering wheel on a 54 Ford one time because it wouldn't come off. They will not be named. So instead of screwing up that steering wheel, I just decided to do it this way. Obviously, if I get the steering wheel off, I could take the whole steering shaft out, but we played the cards we were dealt. It's Saturday morning. We're getting a nice early start on it. Figured I'd clean up my toys. It's always good to start fresh. And then we'll figure out what we're gonna do on this. But in the meantime, I got my friend Lee coming. We're doing a little horse trading on some parts. So I got this Dana 60, and he's also doing a 4-wheel drive conversion on a 46 something Studebaker. So also a 1-ton pickup, so it's kind of cool. And he even has a YouTube channel you can check out at Yonk's Garage. And yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for Lee to show up. But yeah, this is the Dana 60. It's from a 54 Ford. And Lee's truck is gonna have the 8 on 6.5 pattern, and this is posy, whatever, it's great. I hope it works good for him. So he'll show up here pretty soon. We'll get it loaded up and we'll keep on keeping on. Working smarter, not harder. Oh, a little more. I think we got her tightened down there, bud. So this is Lee. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
Remember your YouTube channel?
Yonk's Garage.
So go check it out. Maybe we'll see this again someday. And then, oh yeah, here's the wheels. Yep. They're a big old girl and they like to flaunt it. And that Dana 60 rode out of my life forever. You know, I hang on to stuff because I'm like, I'll use it for something. And now I realize what I'm gonna use it for. It's so I could give it to Lee. So it works out great. Well, I made a list. I need to organize my thoughts sometimes after I organize my tools. So, you know, we can just throw a dart, stick it in the door, see where it lands. I'm gonna try to do stuff. Some of this can be done when the cab is off. I need to do some more frame stuff with the cab off. This would be easier with the cab off. But the steering, I'm waiting on a part to show up Monday to finish that, but I can weld a mount to the bottom of the column, but I also need to adjust those pedals. So I think we'll do that now. Got the brake pedal, clutch pedal assembly out. Just need to take this long bolt out, and then I'm hoping this basically could be straight. This one, this mark here can come over an inch before it hits the steering column, kind of goes right between those two. All right, I got it set up in the press. This one needs to come down, and then this one will come that way a little bit, but do a little bit at a time. I imagine this is going to spring back a little bit. Not bad. All right, now we got to check it. All right, I'm just going using this plane here as my reference point. It actually moved quite a bit, so that's probably way too much, so that'll be great. And then, yeah, this one needs to come back that way a little bit. All right, I could go over just a touch more, but straighten up pretty good. Voila! Hopefully it still fits. Just kidding, that was the brake pedal, or sorry, that's the clutch pedal. So that's the one that could be straight. The brake pedal is the one that needs moved over. So we've got about 2 inches there. So we just need this mark to be at 1 inch. Hopefully we can do that. We are very close here. It's like 1 inch and 1/8. But I think that's gonna work. You can see how much the pad is twisted over, so press it on this side and square that back up. All right, I kind of got it mocked up here. Pedals are still a little wonky. I got this other junk in the way. So, looks like I come over probably another inch on the brake pedal, which would be good because not a lot of room for an accelerator. So I put the bolt in the other side, so now I can just pull the bolt out and leave the bracket and take the pedals. All right, so instead of bending it some more, I just bolted up the master cylinders so that it's nice and tight and square. And look at that. Plenty of clearance for the brake pedal. The clutch pedal is still a little tweaked, and it could afford to go over that way a little bit. But they're pretty close to kind of where the stock pedals used to be. I have this plate. I remember how it goes in. Something like that. Yeah, look at that. It's a little farther that way, and that one's straight up and down. So now I got a little bit more room for a accelerator. And the other thing I was gonna do, I'm gonna slot this. This one's got room to go over, this one doesn't. So I'm gonna slot the underside of the dash because I'd kind of move the column over a little bit. But I think it's kind of pointed like this. So if I slot that, I can slide it over a little bit so it's a little more square going through the firewall. And also it will center it on the speedometer. So that's a little more aesthetically pleasing. Also, I had this little triangular bracket from my universal engine mount that was not as universal as I'd hoped. But yeah, it's big enough that it'll make that difference in the angle. So I'll kind of tack weld that on there, and then I've got a mounting plate for the bottom of the steering column. Turns out it's already slotted. So the bolt was over here. I'm just gonna move it over to there. I'm just gonna slot this one just a little bit. There's a spot weld that holds that plate in, so I don't want to go too far over, but give us a little more wiggle room. The steering column is now mounted. Works pretty smooth. So I did a last minute audible. I figured before I start messing with the U-joint and stuff down under there, I actually made a plate. Kind of see the top of it here. That moves the whole column forward a little bit and up. Like I was saying with the angle, it used to be like this. Boop. So it's kind of more out of the way of your knees. And then when I dropped it, it was kind of like that. So I moved it forward about, I don't know, 1.5 inches. And it's not a lot up, but it's more up than it was. It's also all the way over. So it's not perfectly centered with the speedometer, but it's better than it was. And, you know, it's pretty straight going through the firewall. And I got plenty of, got my bracket welded on to the tube. So now it's bolted to the firewall. It's nice and sturdy. And I have plenty of clearance around the exhaust manifold. Just got one bolt in it up here on that triangular piece. Still waiting on my part to show up. I think it's supposed to be here Monday, so. But this is nice and solid. All right, what's next? All right, well, I may not get anything more done tonight, but it's important to have to-do lists, but it's also important to have to-did lists. So, steering, move column up, we got that. And I thought I did something else. Oh, I welded the bottom mount on. And that's pretty much it. I got one more thing crossed off the list. The power steering pump used to be bolted over to the other side of the head. The problem was it was hitting the steering. I mean, it wasn't gonna fit. So I basically just narrowed the bracket and then built this little filler piece and welded it all up. Might need a new belt. It's a little long. So, I don't know if I even put that on here. Ah! Power steering bracket. Check. And one more thing off the list just for kicks and giggles. Got the belt on. I just took an old belt, cut it to approximately the right length, added like an inch, and then, but yeah, the guys down at O'Reilly helped me get this 48 3/4 inch. So, to be fair, I retroactively added this to the checkoff list because I just like to check off the list. I'm trying to wrap up this power steering pump project because otherwise I'll forget, have the fenders on, and then think, dang it, why didn't I do that earlier? So, went and saw my friend Rick down at Wyoming Automotive, and he can make me a new power steering line, but we got to reuse the old fittings. So, this is the Jeep side on the steering box on the frame, and then this is the Ford side on the pump. So these are 2-piece fittings, so I just need to cut this collar off, and then without messing them up, hopefully. And then Rick can make me a new hose and new clamp-on fittings, and should be good to go. Haha, I messed that up pretty good. So I ended up just cutting it. Hopefully there's enough meat on this part to put a compression fitting on it. So all is not lost, but you know, there's always something I'm messing up. Well, I'm back here at Wyoming Automotive Company. Rick's gonna be so disappointed in me. I had to leave my fittings with Rick. He's gonna help me out, finish it up for me, but we had to order a couple of fittings. Hopefully they're here tomorrow. But I was just kind of putzing around and trying to find something to do until this showed up. So, we have here is my steering U-joint. So hopefully I got the right one, I think. After some brute force and ignorance, I got the steering hooked up. Look at that. I'm gonna have to clean up that weld a little bit on the bottom of the steering column because I couldn't get to it real great. Well, I just welded it bad. So it's got a couple of good tacks, but once I pull the column off again, I'll clean that up and kind of re-weld it. But for now, for just rolling it in and out of the garage, it's gonna work great. And that pretty much wraps that one up. Oh, and I forgot I bent the pedals over. So I think now work on the braces for the front side. It's closer to the driver. I need to reinforce that. I whipped up this little paper bracket template, cut it out of some steel here, and I'm gonna be able to gusset like that. So weld that together. Got the bracket welded in to this side over here, and it's bolted on that side. It's probably just side to side motion. I tried to go down as much as possible to add some support. I think that'll work. I probably need to do something on the other side too, but nice and rigid now. I realize there's nothing on top, but most of the force is going that way. So that means it wouldn't have been down. So, I don't know. We'll see when we drive it. Once again, I got the shop picked up a little bit. I think that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this week. We got some more stuff done. Power steering bracket, brake pedal, the steering, that was a big one. So, you know, we're chugging right along. So thanks for following along. And yeah, thanks for watching Bitter-Swede Garage. We'll check you next time.